Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to Citizens Review. I know you are probably looking at the screen and saying, what in Jesus' name is that Aaron Ferguson has on? Well, I got the precise description from a friend of mine who got this shirt for me, a New Yorker whose family is originally from Jamaica, in conjunction with another friend of mine that I attended university with, who is from Nigeria. Now, this shirt is called the Bubba shirt. And I love the word Bubba. I used to watch a show called Nash Bridges with Don Johnson, the guy you would know from Miami Vice. And he used to refer to everyone affectionately as Bubba. So I like the word Bubba. Anyone who knows me well enough knows that I'll call you Bubba. He says here, the designer mixes the traditional shirt style of the Rivers People tribe of southern Nigeria by the Niger River Delta with her native Benin tribe stitching and embroidery. So this would be the stitching from the Benin tribe, and this would be the style and the cloth from the Niger River Delta tribe. And I'm wearing it today because I just came back from Washington, D.C. I think anybody who follows me on, let me see if I get all this right, Path, Facebook, Instagram, Twitter. I'm now on Vine, which is for videos as opposed to just Instagram and Twitter. I'm also on Tumblr. If you follow me on any of those things, you would have seen that I was in D.C. Having a good time and sort of attending Howard University's graduation and also spending Mother's Day there, which I got in a lot of trouble for. But I went because my younger cousin was graduating, but that don't usually pan out with your ma. She don't care who graduating, you miss Mother's Day. So I want to feature a picture of my mother. It's been all over Facebook. I've pushed it as much as possible so I could be in least as much Mother's Day absentee trouble as possible. And this is her. This is Sharon Smith Ferguson, my mother. Many of you would have seen this photo on Facebook. The reason why I post this is because I was in Mother's Day problems. I was out of town celebrating the graduation of her nephew. Her nephew. This ain't supposed to make sense. But, you know, my mother's a reasonable woman. She enjoyed the fact that I did this deal of her and put it all over for the world to see. My mother, the queen. And the caption on Facebook says, note the scepter. You see that scepter? Scepter and the crown. Note the scepter and the crown and know that she's the real queen. And also, this is not a fake Jet cover. This is a real cover of Jet magazine. They were launching Fashion Fair makeup at the time, John H. Johnson Communications, and they put my mother on the front. So, happy Mother's Day, Mother, again. And to all the mothers out there that watch Citizens Review, we love you, we appreciate you, we thank you for supporting the show, we thank you for praying for me in particular, and for the people who work on this show. We thank you very much because it is not without the love of a mother that we exist. It is not without the love of a mother that shows like Citizens Review exist. I know there are times when some very evil men may think that it's time to get this boy off of TV, as they may refer to me, and a loving care of a mother waiting and wanting to see a country grow and see an expression proliferated would sit by her husband and say, don't do that. Calm yourself down. This is country moving forward. So I know those moments come up with some of you very bad people. And so there you have it. Thank you very much, mothers. Mother's Day, especially the women at Mount Tabor Full Gospel Baptist Church. I know they have like a calling group, and some of them watch Citizens Review and call each other, and I appreciate them for that. Thank you very much. I actually saw Bishop Neil Ellis on my flight to Atlanta on the way out of the Bahamas. So, the ladies at Mount Tabor, thank you very much. I have a picture here. I want you to see what Howard University looks like. This is what the university looks like. The graduation is on the main yard, and so you see all of these faces of young black people getting their education. In case you did not know, Howard University is a historically black college and university. And what that means is that the history of the college is primarily black students centered around African American values and black and African values. They are usually they have served as the bedrocks of black education in the United States. Howard University in particular, graduating more PhDs that are black and African American. I say both because some are from the Caribbean, Africa, and what's not in America than any other university. More doctors come, black doctors come from Howard University than any other university in America. So this is Founders Library, absolutely beautiful building. In the basement of this building used to exist the Howard University Law School. And that is the place, believe it or not, where Charles Hamilton Houston, along with Thurgood Marshall, drafted the argument for Brown versus the Board of Education to be carried to the Supreme Court, where they won equal opportunity, equal education, no more separate but equal in education systems in the United States. So Howard University, as described by Ozzie Davis, one time when he was at Howard while I was a student, is the guardian at the gate of civil rights for people in the United States, black, white, red, brown, or yellow. And this is the main yard here with Founders at the head. You would see Founders Library here again along with the main yard. Interesting fact about Howard, this library, the reason why we call it Hilltop High is because this library is actually the highest point in DC, because Howard University is on the highest hill point in DC. And the reason why it is because hills were barren land back in that time. It was a waste. They couldn't do anything with the land. So they gave General Oliver Otis Howard the hill and say, go build your normal school on top of that hill. And now it is the most coveted land in the District of Columbia, and it's the property of Howard University, HBCU. So that's where I went to school. This is the process I experienced where Oprah, of all people, was my graduation speaker. And she says something very critical. When Oprah was my graduation speaker, she said that when she was young, her grandmother used to tell her, say, baby girl, you go to school and you get good grades. And when you're done with school, you get some good training, get you a good job working for some good white people. And Oprah said at my graduation, and it was the center of much controversy, aside from saying that she's now Dr. Oprah, but she said at my graduation that she did exactly what her grandmother said. She went to school, she got good grades. She kept herself together, got some good training, and then started a company where she got some good white people working for her. And it was not meant to be racist as much as it was meant to be empowering. Of course, when CNN and MSNBC got a hold of it, it became all about race and everything. And I suspect that some of that happens when I talk on Citizens Review. People think it's about race. It has nothing to do with race. I'm not a racist. There are some, I used to have some issues with the Greeks, but I've since forgiven. And I'm going to do a show about that coming up shortly. But it's all about the idea that there were a people who suffered 300 to 400 years, 300 to 400 million of said people, black people from West Africa, that were put through the most violent and structurally depressive form of slavery and sort of stripping of oneself that has ever existed on the face of the earth. And that is important. It is important to know that. It is important to recognize that. It is important to live in that space where that happened, just as much as it is important for us to respect the struggle of the Jews in Germany who were killed in the Holocaust. Might I remind the 6 million people who suffered death by Hitler it is just as important to remember the 300 to 400 million black slaves from West Africa that were transported over the course of 300 years in the transatlantic slave trade, and ergo our presence here. The mixture of those slaves and their European masters created Aaron Ferguson, Chrissy Love, Wendell Jones, and all of us who all have European and African roots. So that's why I have on my Bubba shirt, to sort of bring awareness to black education, which I experienced, and it was a profound experience. I mean, you cannot imagine what it is like. And all of these persons in the front here are PhDs, by the way. PhDs, MDs, or dentists, THDs, EDDs, all these are doctorates. All these are black doctors. It's amazing. It's an amazing field. They probably graduated at Howard more black people with doctorate degrees than exist with doctorate degrees in the Bahamas, which is scary. But 'tis life, and we have to work through that. So I just wanted to give you a little piece of my experience so that you can understand why there was a rerun show last week, which I got almost 100 messages about because people was mad and they was upset, but we are back on TV this week. Praise the Lord. Let me take a break, and we'll be right back. We have some things to talk about. I don't know, I got to stop going away, because every time I go away, the news just get off the chain. I mean, tourists getting killed, people living in the car, thieving in NIB. Well, we knew about that before. And remember, I told you all about Shane Gibson? Remember I tell you, the wolf can't watch the sheep. Wolf can't watch the sheep. I said that. It had to have been more than a month or two ago, or maybe more. Maybe more. I can't quite remember, but I said on one of the first shows, I said the wolf can't watch the sheep. Anyway, we thank our sponsor, Bijou Turner, who has helped to make sure that Citizens Review is on the air. We encourage other people to sponsor the show. We need some help, so you all start helping. Call in, donate monies to JCN to assist Citizens Review. Just call in 356-2555. Let them know that you want to give to Citizens Review, or call in with your business and place an ad on the show. We'll be right back in a second. And asphalt. The United States is spending billions and billions of dollars on infrastructure because their infrastructure is problematic and inadequate. Limestone, billions. Aragonite, used to purify in industrial and factory processes, billions. Salt growing up out the ground, billions. Morton Salt Company has been making it for years. The first four: limestone, aragonite, silica, salt. We have the tongue of the ocean, which is the Atlantic undersea water something, or tech. America does use it for. But they test submarines in the tongue of the ocean, and that means that they make billions of dollars. Go Google what a nuclear submarine costs nowadays. A F-16 runs you into several tens of millions. I'm assuming a nuclear submarine runs up a pretty heavy bill. But if they test in several of them in our tongue of the ocean, which is the only feature as such in the world aside from Indonesia, which is not as primal because we're only 100 miles off the coast. Imagine how many millions or billions they make from using the tongue of the ocean and testing submarines. Billion-dollar industry. That's 5 I list off the top of my head. There is fresh water below 3,000 feet in the tongue of the ocean. Indonesia sells fresh water in their deep valley crevice to China. They suck it from below 3,000 feet because apparently once you go below 3,000 feet, there is no salinity in the water. Fresh water reserve for the rest of your existence as a country. Lost. Because there is no reason why a country of 350,000 people, give or take 50 to 70,000, cannot allocate and protect and secure those resources to protect and secure the interests of the persons living in this country. Now, the Bahamas is a Congo of a sort. Take these lost people from behind me, man. I just get tired of them. Thank you. Good, nice logo with Citizen and the beautiful islands on it. Hallelujah. The point is that we have more resources than 350,000, give or take 50 to 70,000 people could ever use. And when I was in D.C., I was talking to a friend of mine that works on Capitol Hill. It's always good to have friends in D.C., trust me. And he was talking about a trip that he took to Qatar. Qatar in the United Arab Emirates is a country of 200 and some odd thousand people that are all wealthy because they have oil. Notice, I didn't get to the oil because we don't really need the oil to do what it is that we have as riches already. But they have a fund, and in that fund benefits each and every citizen of Qatar. And each and every citizen gets money from the fund whether they like it or not. And each and every citizen has wealth that just don't end, because the country's wealth of oil is given to its citizens. The citizens benefit through a trust. There's no reason why a country like the Bahamas with 350,000 people, give or take 50 to 70,000, cannot have wealth and protect its citizens. These people are not interested. And we have to take the country in a different direction. Listen, man, salt, billions, silica, billions, limestone, billions, fresh water, billions, tongue of the ocean, billions, flats fishing, billions. We have 10 times more space of flats to fish on in the Bahamas than Florida. We have 10 times more space, and they make 10 times more money. How that make sense? Flats fishing. From the cruise ship passenger, we make $50 a person, give or take. From the hotel passenger, we make $300 per person, give or take. From the flats fishing, we make about $3,000 per person, give or take. You know how many less people we would have to service if we were in the flats fishing business? How much less environmental impact with them little cruise ship tourists coming here every day, and leaving they waste in the Bahamas, and they still on the ship gambling. We have a growth problem. We have a logic problem. We have an issue with people that are just not interested in the growth of the country, because this country is waiting for growth. There's no problem here. We lack no resources here. That is nonsense. We are not broke. Jamaica run out of bauxite. We are not out of any resource that we have. And it's only 350,000 hearts. But we have 30,000 people managing 350,000 people in a government. 30,000 people in government. Almost one for every 10 persons in the Bahamas. We have government cars. I saw a plate number 5,000 something. Could you imagine the kind of stupidness that got to be going through your head as a prime minister to have 5,000 and some government car? What in Jesus' name could you be doing with 5,000 government car? You know how much that costs? If you total up the numbers on the government vehicles and their costs, just do basic math here. 5,000 cars at least at a gas rate of $150 a month is $750,000 a month. At a Maintenance rate of $50 a month is another $250,000 a month. Now, that means that you spend $1 million a month on government car maintenance and gas for 5,000 cars. And that don't include the transmission broke down, the tire that can bust or slow leak, the pothole your car can hit, the axle that can break, the rim that can bend, considering that these ain't these people's cars. So they just drive these however they like. And I cannot imagine that we are suffering that kind of bill just on car. For 5,000 cars to service 30,000 employees. So the Bahamas rate of car per government employees is 1 in every 6 government employee has a government car, if it's only 5,000. And again, my 5,000 don't include police car, and it don't include fire truck, and it don't include, I don't think, BEC truck, BTC truck. What? These people are lost. They're lost, they're lost, they're lost. This is the same 30,000 people that need 5,000 cars to manage 350,000 people, when I explained to you last week that 1.3 billion people around the world are managed on Facebook. Facebook knows where you are, they know what you're doing, they know what you ate, they know who your friends are, who you went to school with, what you like, what you're interested in, what music you listen to, what you're thinking at any given point. 1.3 billion people managed by 5,000 people in same Silicon Valley out in San Diego. But 30,000 people, one government employee for every 10 Bahamians just about. Can't figure out where you live because we ain't got no address. They don't know nothing about you. The NIB may take 2 days to tell me where I work, how much contributions I had, while they busy thieving money. There is something wrong with our formula, and I think we are starting to stumble on the idea, as I said at the protest, that it is not us that are the stupid ones, as they would convince us to believe. It is them. They do not get it. We have a cabinet of almost 30, how much people, almost 20-something people, managing a country of 350,000 people with 30,000 government employees. Facebook got 5,000 people managing 1.3 billion. Google got 50,000 people managing all information available in the known world. Google. ExxonMobil manages the #1 petroleum company in the world with 75,000 people. And that includes all the oil rigs and all of this and that and this and that. What does the Bahamas have to do with 30,000 people? It makes no sense. We'll be right back after these messages. Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome back to Citizens Review. Again, this shirt, if you're asking why am I wearing this shirt, this is called a Bubba shirt. And let me get the description right. I got my friend Kyle Spence from New York to send me the description properly. The designer mixes the traditional shirt style of the Rivers people tribe of southern Nigeria by the River Niger Delta with her native Benin tribe stitching and embroidery. I have the stitching and embroidery here on my arm, all around there, around the neck, you can see. And it's also on the rim of the shirt. So rather beautiful Beautiful piece. I encourage you, if you like African art, African clothing, to support any artist or anyone around the world who you may encounter that may be selling this type of thing. I got it as a gift from a friend in New York and also a friend in Nigeria. I want to offer a sort of a prescription to Bahamians. I think, number one, it's sort of like resolutions. Be it resolved as people, citizens of the Commonwealth of the Bahamas that is determined to be a commonwealth and not a separated wealth with certain people getting and others not. Be it resolved that, number one, there needs to come about a paradigm shift of a push out of the 19th century into an approach to the 22nd century using the most brilliant ideas that are coming about in the 21st century. That means that we have to abandon the labor economy and move towards the information and the knowledge economy, knowledge or knowledge-based economy. We have to do it. Critical to making that happen is that the 19th century proud leaders that we have, they are 19th century thinkers who believe it is still okay to be the Prime Minister and Minister of Finance and see no conflict of interest. Those thinkers must go. The PLP and the FNM are a challenge for us. And I can foresee no leader in either the PLP or the FNM that is not a 19th century thinker. From Hubert Minnis to Perry Christie to Brave Davis, I got to interview Loretta Butler. She may be a 21st century thinker, I don't know. But I do not foresee in the leadership of these parties that we will have our answer, that we will migrate from the 19th century into the 21st century of thought with a direct approach towards the 22nd century. And we don't know what is coming in the 22nd century, but our planning must be there. Be it resolved that we also need to do a direct assessment of our resources and our capabilities as a country. We need to come to understand the value separate from interest, either foreign or domestic, the value to the Bahamian citizen of our potential oil reserve, our salt reserves, our silica reserves, our limestone deposits, our aragonite deposits, our natural geographic features like the tongue of the ocean, the fact that 30%, or sorry, 1/3, which is 33.33% continuing, of the world's marine life is born in the Bahamas. These are resources that are incalculable in some cases, inalienable in all cases, and undeniably ours. There needs to be an assessment of the value and a protection of these resources for the benefit of Bahamian citizens, not with silly concepts like Bahamians first. Basic concepts like, if you are of this land, you shall be able to live in this land and benefit from this land in a way where you will promote the health, growth, and security of this land. Because this land is my land, and this land is your land. From Grand Bahama down to Inagua, from the Berry Islands over to Maguana, this land was made for you and me. Be it resolved that we need to reconcile the issues of young people and old people. Young people with energy, excitement, and innovation in their minds need be mindful that we must be guarded and guided by experience. Old people with experience and the lessons of invaluable existence in their soul must be minded by the fact that you are old and you need people with energy, innovation, and excitement to be guarded and guided by your experience. We have to mesh the two. For if we do not, we will fail. The greatest tragedy in this country is that meshing of those two may never happen. We have to make it happen. And the more mature persons in this argument are those who were once young and are now old. Step up to the plate. You are the ones that should be asking yourselves what happened over the last 40 years, not us, because I wasn't here when you brought the country to independence. I was not a part of it. I was born a Bahamian citizen. You were born a British subject. There is a difference. Note that difference. Respect that difference and appreciate the benefits and the challenges that come with that difference. Because while I may not know of the tyranny and the harsh treatment and the exacting of power from the British, and while you may not be aware of what exactly Facebook, Twitter, Path, MySpace, and all these developments of technology are, if we work together, we could be guarded and guided by your experience, but we could also experience the energy and excitement and innovation that young people bring to the table. Be mindful of the fact that when you were young, whether the older generation appreciated, respected, or worked with you or not, the resilience of your energy, excitement, and innovation stood permanent. And so the question is, will you come with us or not? And if you will not, you will be isolated. And that is a pending tragedy. We have to fix that. Be it resolved that we must become more serious about the protection of our interest. To date, we almost don't have interest. What is the position in the Bahamas on the rights of people? Well, as far as I could see, it's whatever the IMF, the World Bank, the World Health Organization, the Pan American Health Organization, or any other international body presents to us, and that becomes our interest. We have to assert interest of our own, which will only come if we start to employ and encourage young, progressive thinkers and leaders that can take our country to a place where we would be guided and guarded by the experience of those who came before. I do not, and neither do I think a lot of young Bahamians or Bahamians have hatred in their heart for former governments. I do not. We understand the predicament of a Pinling, we understand that he was a man and he did what he thought was best. He also subscribed to labor economy, and he was a good labor economy prime minister. I understand the pressures of a Hubert Ingram who pressed into what he and his party called freedom from what they titled as a tyrant and a dictator. And they brought us into a different age of what the Bahamas would be, could be, and should be. I understand a Perry Christie who became the leader of his party after the great father of the nation and led his party into a supposed victory that was short-lived. And I understand all of their pushes towards the labor economy, which preaches the idea of foreign direct investment by foreigners. They own the land, the building, the property, and the business, and we work for them. But what I will not understand is in an information age where we continue to live in a 19th century economy. We have to stop that. And it is not a 70-year-old Perry Christie's job to stop it for us. It is our job to embrace that the world has changed. He must retire, and we have to take our country to the next level. Be it resolved that unless every single person that watches this show and appreciates the honesty and appreciates the candid nature of it is prepared to be candid and honest themselves, we will not get anywhere. I have people who tell me if we had 5 more Aaron Fergusons, we would be in a different place as a country. Well, what do you watch the show for? Be the change that you want to see. We don't need 5 more Aaron Fergusons. We need you, and you, and you, and you, and all of y'all watching the show to step up to the table and be prepared to protect the country, because this is our country. And if you do an analysis on the Bahamas as if it were a species of people, we are endangered, we are in trouble, and we have to proceed about protecting that idea. Be it resolved that we are but dust, and to dust we shall return. So you might as well say what you got to say before you're dead. Be it resolved. And I will say it another way. Dust thou art, and to dust thou shalt return. So you might as well say what you got to say before you're dead. Be it resolved that we will proceed in that direction, because if we do not, we will suffer the fate of many of our brother and sister countries that have suffered it before. We will be owned, we will be indentured slaves, and we will not have a say. We have to assert ourselves. Don't just watch me and say, thank God he doing it. If each before his doorstep swept, the entire village would be clean. Chrissy Love says it every day. Appreciate that and stand with me. Let's take this country back. I'll see you next week. We are but dust, and to dust we shall return. So you might as well say what you got to say before you're dead. Be it resolved. See you later.